Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Manifest Mondays. Today I have two very special guests with me. I have Christy Petterson and Shannon Mulkey, and we are in Atlanta on location. They are the co-founders of I.C.E Atlanta Indie Craft Experience. They put on amazing craft festivals a couple times a year, and they've been doing this since 2005. And if you don't know, they just were voted Best Event of Atlanta and Best Acronym. They've been featured on TV, nationally. They are two awesome individuals, and they've done this all while having day jobs, which is pretty amazing. So I wanted to interview them to talk about their experience of how they put this on. Welcome. Thanks. All right, so yeah, first I'd love to hear about how you two came together and started the very first craft festival.
We met at Youngblood Gallery in 2004. We were doing a little craft show and we were set up.
By the way, we are at Youngblood Gallery right now. That was not a coincidence.
So we were set up across from each other and we became friends. And that was in October of 2004. And by January of 2005, we started planning our first Indie Craft Experience.
Awesome.
So we came up with our name and started planning, and it took us 6 months to plan the first one. So our first event was in June of 2005.
Okay.
And we had about 40 vendors and a great turnout. About 800 people came out to the event.
Awesome.
It was amazing and the most stressful night of my whole entire life.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. So many things went wrong.
Right. But you know, that's a good lesson too, is with any business or kind of project that you're working on, is things will always go wrong.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to actually start because you want it to be perfect. Because
It'll never, ever, ever be perfect.
Right. Yeah. So each time it's gotten better, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of the lesson we've learned over time, is that like we've learned so much over the past few years and gotten so much more organized that we're actually able to add on more things with the same, we still have day jobs, so the same amount of free time, but we've been able to add more shows to our calendar because we've we've streamlined and gotten more organized. Everything's easier now.
Yay. So what shows do you have a year?
We have Wedding Day Hooray, which is our DIY wedding show. It focuses on local, indie, and eco weddings.
Awesome.
We have Salvage, which is our vintage-inspired show. And we do Indie Craft Experience twice a year.
Cool.
And we have a pop-up shop that runs for 6 weeks.
During the holidays.
Awesome. Wow, that's a lot. And it's just the two of you. You don't have like an assistant or
No.
yeah.
The two of us. We have really awesome volunteers.
Okay.
So we, like the week of the events, like we really rely heavily on volunteers, but the rest of the year it's just us.
Awesome. So how did you go from like idea stage to taking action, and then also how did you start making money from these events, right? Making it profitable and not just like a hobby.
I think with the planning part, I've seen us do this many times. Like, we just have an idea and we want to try it out, and we do some research, but we also just kind of jump in.
That's cool.
I think it's kind of like, I don't know, we don't get wrapped up in the like fear part of it, or or how, you know, like we don't get fixated on small details. It's like, there's this thing we want to do, we have confidence in ourselves, we know we work well together, and we're going to make it happen.
Awesome.
And if it flops, you know, then there will be some lesson to learn.
That's such a great attitude to have. Yeah. So many people, I think, they just stop because they're afraid. They're afraid that it won't work, or what will people think if it doesn't work?
I think that's why we're good business partners. We just take like a running jump. We just jump right in.
Yeah, and we've had different things over the years that we've tried that like they didn't really pan out. Like we used to do a fashion show as part of our event, and it was a lot of fun and it was great, but we stopped and realized, so like we were having a hard time, you know, finding enough models, but then we also were like, actually, we're also having a hard time finding enough designers. Like, if there was a real need for it, the designers would be kind of coming to us.
Right.
But we were having to, like, kind of beg people to be a part of it. And it's like, well, that's not working then. So we did it a few times and then ditched it because it just wasn't a good fit.
That's such good advice, too. It's like, you know, if things aren't working, you know when to just stop and say, okay, we're gonna cut that out or do something else.
And it's usually like the things, if we stop and think about it, like the things that are kind of giving us like a knot in our stomach or whatever, those are often the things that just kind of aren't working.
Yeah. They're eating up a lot of time and effort on our part
without
that we're stressed about, without a return.
Yeah, without much return. And then it's like the things that like bring us a lot of joy are actually usually very successful.
That's so true in life. You know, that's how it should be. It's like, do what you love, and that's what you're going to be successful. And it's like such a common expression, but it really is true, you know? And listening to your intuition, your gut.
Totally.
Like this year's Salvage was our new project, our vintage show, and you know, we didn't know what the response would be in Atlanta, and we had an excellent response. So many people came out, people were so excited. They wanted us to have another event in the fall.
Cool.
So
yeah, now you guys are turning away applicants, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which is so amazing.
It is. Yeah, it's also hard. It makes us sad, but because we both love to encourage people. But it's a sign of success on our end.
And then the other thing I was going to ask too is, were you doing your own creative projects in addition? Like, when are you still doing them, or did you decide, you know what, I'm gonna take a break from that and I'm gonna tie in my creativity into the event side of things? You know what I mean? And was that hard for you?
This is the first year that I haven't done any craft shows.
Okay.
So usually in the fall, Christy and I do a craft show in Chicago called Renegade, and we do one in DC as well. And this is the first year that I have not done a craft show. And I miss it a tiny bit, but I also have more time, which is great.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, and ironically, it's like we actually started our show because we felt like there wasn't one in Atlanta that we really fit perfectly with. Like, there are a lot of great shows in Atlanta, but they weren't the right aesthetic, or they just didn't quite fit. So that's kind of what our original motivation was. And people actually, you know, even suggested that to me at different times, like, well, maybe you should do less of your own thing. And I really fought that for many years. And I would just like make myself crazy trying to do too many things. And I guess this year I just like turned a corner and I felt like super at peace with it. And I'm like, I, you know, love making things. I can always do that. But right now I need to like focus on growing our business more. And, you know, there might be a time where I can get back to making things like full production. But right now, like, I'm really happy to just invest that time and energy into
that's so
I.C.E.
nice. And it's a good lesson too for all of us, and myself included. We have multiple passions. We're multi-passionate, like, entrepreneurs and creative types, right? So it's like, oh, I want to do this film, but I also want to do this website. And I want to make this dress, you know. So you know, it's hard. Like, which you have to just kind of go with one and then see which one is successful and keep the momentum. And you can always do the other things. Doesn't mean you're not doing them. You're just not making it your business. Yeah, which is a great lesson. So do you have any advice for anyone kind of starting out, no matter what they're doing, whether it be a craft show or, you know, another creative project?
Well, I think key for us as a collaboration has been that to find someone that you work well with. If there's someone that like you have like red flags about, or it feels like working things out with them is more work than the actual work is, then you need to like really think it through. And find a different partner.
That's so good. I was going to ask you guys about collaboration, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Because we end up spending a lot of time together.
We do.
A lot of time.
So it's good that we like each other.
No, totally.
It's important. And it's nice because, you know, I think, well, we have a lot of decisions just in planning our business, but also we have a lot of decisions in picking the vendors for the shows, and so it's really nice because I'd say like 95% of the time we're on the same page. And then, you know, the times when we're not on the same page, we'll sometimes kind of, you know, come to some sort of compromise or
Right.
trade,
Right.
so we both feel okay
Right.
about it.
But you guys don't
But-
have like a contract or anything between the two of you? No.
No, I guess not.
Yeah.
I mean, we're an LLC together.
Okay.
So we're
Partnership.
yeah, we're officially so we're a 50-50 partnership. Yes.
I just was curious.
But we haven't like written down like
I'm gonna run away with you. I'm just curious, you know. 'Cause a lot of people are collaborating now, so I feel like it's the age of collaboration and talking about like coming into the feminine age, and you know, I think there's a lot to gain from actually collaborating instead of competing with one another. That you can bring yourselves to another higher level when you work together. So yeah, I feel like that's, you know, shown with the two of you and what you've been able to do with I.C.E.
thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? Did you have anything else to add, or?
No, I think that's it.
I think like you were asking about advice for getting started. I think
Yeah.
getting started is key. Like, I mean, I just always thought that like people will talk about like I want to get back to school, but you know I'll be stuck in school for 4 years, and then they talk about it for 3 years.
Right, they
It's
just
like you
talk
could
about
be almost done by now if you had just done it when you first started
Right.
talking
And
about
start
it.
talking I have chills because that's so me on like an old project. I just was like,
Get started.
exactly. It is such good advice. Just get started. I love that. Yeah, that's definitely a tweetable. We'll put it down below.
Get started. And don't feel bad for having a day job.
Yes.
Because I think that allows you some freedoms because you have income coming in, you have a safety net,
Yeah.
and it allows you to take more risks.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people use it as an excuse, but instead you could actually feel good about having a day job and starting your own thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because you can always find pockets of time. Like everyone wastes time. And if you
It's
just,
true.
and myself included,